Your FortiGate can do many things. One of them is using it as a WAF, that is Web Application Firewall, to protect your web servers from XSS, cross-site scripting, or SQL injection. Another thing it can do as part of its WAF capabilities is to create HTTP and URL constraints. Let's see it in action. Alright, so let's log in. Now remember that WAF is by default not enabled, so you will have to go to System, Feature Visibility, Web Application Firewall, and apply that feature. Now WAF will only work under proxy, so be aware that you're using proxy mode. The other thing to do is to head over to Security Profiles, Web Application Firewall, where you can create your profile. So name it. Let's just name it HTTP constraints, and there you will see the different signatures for known vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, credit card detection, and so on. And here you will have the constraints, which we will configure immediately using our command line. The other thing to note is the HTTP method policy, which will be matched in the HTTP request. But we will look at the HTTP constraints for now. So let's open our CLI. We're using HTTP constraints to examine web traffic. Now, if we find different patterns or inconsistency, or something is not in the standard, then it may indicate that there's an attack on our web servers. So we configure it using the config WAF profile. Now let's edit my profile, which I named HTTP. And now we can, as you will see, we can configure signatures, we can configure the HTTP methods, and we can configure the constraints, which we will do right now. Now, we'll use the show full config so you can see the different constraints. We have content length, we have header length, that is the HTTP header length, and so on. But what we will do right now is to configure the host name. And if we'll use the show full config, by the way, when we configure the host name, we actually tell a FortiGate to look for illegal host name. Each host name has to have its description, its name in ASCII printed characters. So when we use the bigger sign or lesser sign, then we are actually using illegal characters in our host name. So we can set the status to enable, set the action to block, and set the severity to high. So now let's add. So now if we will look at the, let's just refresh the page. If we look at the constraints, we will see that we have enabled the illegal host name. And the action is to block the traffic.